My name is Julia Morrison. I'm 29 years old. Last Thanksgiving, my mother looked me dead in the eye and said, "Move your plate. Vanessa's boyfriend deserves a real seat at the table. You can eat in the garage like always." I didn't argue. I carried my plate through the cold garage, sat on a dirty folding chair next to my father's toolbox, and ate cold turkey while they laughed and toasted inside. When I walked back in to drop off the empty plate, Ethan, my sister's new boyfriend, looked up. His fork hit the plate with a loud clang. All the color drained from his face. My mother frowned and asked, "Ethan, do you two know?" He was already grabbing his coat and bolting for the door. They thought he was sick. They thought I was just the family embarrassment again. They had no idea who I really was. They had no idea what I was about to do. That night in the garage wasn't the end of my humiliation. It was the exact moment their entire world started to collapse. Before I tell you what happened next, if this story already makes your blood boil, please take a second to hit like and subscribe. But only if you genuinely want to hear how I finally stopped being the family scapegoat. And if you're watching right now, drop a comment and tell me, have you ever been treated like you don't belong at your own family table? Let me know where you're from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back to the week before that Thanksgiving dinner. The call came a week before Thanksgiving. My mother's voice had that tone, the one she uses when she's about to ask me to shrink. "Vanessa's bringing someone very special," she said. "This could be serious, Julia. So please, just be pleasant and don't make it about you." I was in my apartment 15 miles from their house in the Cleveland suburbs. One bedroom, $950 a month, my name on the lease. I'd lived there for 3 years. They'd never visited once. "Should I bring a dish?" I asked. There was a pause on the line. "Actually, we might not have enough chairs. Can you come a little later?" I should have known then, but I'd been conditioned for years to accept their arrangements, to be flexible, to understand that Vanessa needed support more than I did. It hadn't always been this way, or maybe it had, and I just didn't see it clearly until now. I was 6 years old when they brought Vanessa home. 3 years old, big brown eyes, tiny hands clutching a stuffed rabbit. "You're going to be a big sister," my mother said, beaming. I was excited. I thought I'd have someone to play with. Within months, the dynamic shifted. "Julia, be gentle with her. She's been through so much. We need to make her feel safe," my mother would say. My father would add, "You're the strong one. You can handle sharing." I didn't know then that sharing meant giving everything away, including my parents. By the time Vanessa turned 13, the favoritism was undeniable. When I made honor roll in high school, my mother barely looked up from helping Vanessa with her homework. "That's nice, honey. Vanessa tried so hard this semester. Let's focus on celebrating her efforts." But I got straight A's. "Not everything is about you, Julia." I learned to stay quiet. I learned that my achievements made Vanessa feel bad, so I stopped mentioning them. I gave up my bedroom in 2015 when Vanessa needed more space for her study area. I wasn't invited on the family vacation in 2018 because someone needs to watch the house. I wasn't invited to Vanessa's college graduation party in 2023 because it was her day. And then there was the garage. It started Easter 2024. Vanessa brought her college roommate home for dinner. My mother pulled me aside in the kitchen. "The table's too crowded, Julia. You won't mind eating in the garage, will you?" I stared at her. "The garage? Just this once. Please don't make a scene." I carried my plate to the cold concrete floor, sat on a folding chair among paint cans and garden tools, and ate ham while listening to laughter through the walls. When I came back inside, no one asked where I'd been. No one seemed to notice I'd been gone. It happened again, July 4th. Family barbecue, 12 people. My mother cheerful as she handed me a paper plate. "Jules, we're We're one chair short. You don't mind eating in the garage, right? You've done it before. I stood in the garage with my hot dog, watching through the window as everyone sat at the patio table under string lights. My father flipped burgers. My mother poured lemonade. Vanessa laughed with her friends. Nobody looked toward the garage. Thanksgiving 2024, my mother's work colleague joined dinner. My seat disappeared again. The garage like always, my mother said, not even looking at me as she handed me my plate. By November 2025, when she said it again for Vanessa's new boyfriend, I didn't even flinch. It had become normal. That was the most devastating part. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up early in my small apartment. I made a pumpkin pie from scratch. Eleanor's recipe. My grandmother had taught me when I was 12, her hands guiding mine as we crimped the edges of the crust. For my girl, she used to say, not granddaughter. My girl. Eleanor had been dead for 2 years now, November 12th, 2023. Pancreatic cancer, fast and brutal. At her funeral, my mother eulogized her as a loving grandmother to both my daughters. Vanessa sobbed. I stayed dry-eyed, numb. I'd asked my mother afterward, "Did Grandma leave a will?" My mother's face hardened. There was nothing. She donated everything to charity. I'd believed her. I had no reason not to. I put the pie on the passenger seat of my 2019 Honda Civic and drove to my parents' house. The 4-bedroom colonial sat in a quiet suburb, the kind of neighborhood where lawns are perfect and everyone knows everyone's business. I'd grown up in that house. My childhood bedroom had been converted into Vanessa's walk-in closet in 2016. My mother answered the door, took the pie, without thanking me. "Oh, we already have 3 desserts." Inside, Vanessa and her boyfriend sat on the couch. She looked radiant in a cream sweater, her hand resting on his knee. He was handsome, mid-30s, clean-cut, confident smile. My father poured wine. My mother beamed. "Julia, this is Ethan." My mother said, "Ethan, this is our other daughter." The pause before other was brief, but deliberate. I'd heard it my whole life. Ethan shook my hand briefly, didn't look at me directly, turned back to Vanessa immediately. They looked comfortable together. Familiar. He fit into the family tableau in a way I never had. An hour later, extended family arrived. Aunt Carol and her husband. Uncle Doug. 2 family friends. My mother pulled me aside in the kitchen again. "Julia, honey, we're going to need you to be flexible." "Whoa," my father added from behind her. "The dining table only seats 8 comfortably." Vanessa appeared in the doorway, not looking at me. "Mom, is there really no other way?" My mother's voice was gentle. "Sweetie, it's fine. Julia doesn't mind. Do you, Julia?" I looked at the dining room. 8 chairs around the table. One of them had a carved J on the back, the chair my father made for me when I was 7, my initial carved with love. Ethan was sitting in it. My mother's eyes were warning, pleading, threatening all at once. I knew that look. It meant, "Don't ruin this." I said nothing. She smiled. "Good. The garage is heated. You'll be fine." My mother led me to the garage, set up a folding TV tray, a metal stool. "It's just for today, you understand." She paused at the door. "I'm doing this for Vanessa. She deserves to feel special. You've always been so independent. You don't need this like she does." The door closed. Not locked, but the click was final. The garage smelled like motor oil and old cardboard. My father's workbench was covered in sawdust. A calendar from 2019 still hung on the wall, July's page showing a beach scene. The temperature gauge read 43 degrees. My breath made small clouds in the air. I sat on the stool and balanced my plate on the TV tray. Turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans, cranberry sauce. The food was already cold. I ate with a plastic fork because my mother hadn't given me real silverware. Through the window, I could see them at the table, passing dishes, laughing, toasting with wine glasses that caught the light. Vanessa glowed, Ethan charmed. My mother's hand rested on his shoulder, motherly, approving. My father refilled his wine. Nobody looked toward the garage. 23 minutes. That's how long I sat there, chewing in silence, watching my family celebrate without me. I heard Ethan's voice through the wall, louder than the others. This family is so warm. Vanessa, you're so lucky to have this. My hands tightened on my fork. I didn't cry, didn't rage. I just watched. Cataloging. Memorizing. The way my mother's hand lingered on Ethan's shoulder. The way my father nodded approval at something he said. The way Vanessa leaned into him, in love. Nobody mentioned my absence. Not once. I looked down at my grandmother's ring on my finger, a small silver band she'd given me when I was 16. For my girl, she'd said. She'd never called me granddaughter, just my girl. When I walked back inside to drop off my empty plate, they were starting dessert. My mother looked up, annoyed. "Oh, you're back." I rinsed my plate in the kitchen. Vanessa was feeding Ethan a bite of pie. My homemade pie sat untouched on the counter, still in its carrier, while they ate store-bought pumpkin. My father said, "Julia, you can head out if you want. We're doing family photos soon." He meant, "You're not needed." I turned, locked eyes with the dining room, and that's when Ethan saw me. His fork stopped midair. His eyes went wide. The color drained from his face in seconds, not gradually, but like someone had pulled a plug. The fork clattered onto his plate. The sound was sharp, loud. Everyone stopped talking. My mother frowned. "Ethan?" He stood, chair scraping. I'm sorry, I need to." Vanessa grabbed his arm. "Are you okay?" "I think I ate too fast. I need air." His hand shook as he reached for his coat on the hook. "Ethan, what's wrong? Do you know her?" Vanessa's voice rose in confusion. No, I'm not feeling well. I'm sorry." He fumbled with his coat, nearly tripped on the rug. Vanessa followed him to the door, bewildered. My mother stared at me, her face hardening. "Did you say something to him?" she demanded. "I just walked in," I said. But I knew. And he knew I knew. Ethan's car reversed out of the driveway fast, tires screeching slightly. Headlights swept across the living room. Then he was gone. Vanessa stood by the door, mascara starting to run. That was so weird. He was fine 2 seconds ago. My mother turned on me. "What did you do?" "I cleared my plate, that's all." "He was fine until you walked in." Her voice was cold, accusatory. "You ruin everything." Vanessa started crying. My father stood silently, not defending me, not defending anyone. Aunt Carol whispered to her husband. The family friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. I stood in the kitchen, absorbing the blame, saying nothing. Finally, I picked up my coat. "I'm going to leave. Happy Thanksgiving." No one stopped me. In my car, my hands gripped the steering wheel. I took a deep breath. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "We should talk. Don't mention my past to your family. It would hurt Vanessa." E. I stared at the message. "Past?" I typed back. "I don't know what you're talking about." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. I sat in the dark driveway, my mind racing. Past. E. Then it clicked. May. The application. The fake resume. I drove home and opened my laptop. I logged into the HR portal from my apartment, Midwest Mutual Insurance, where I'd worked for 6 years as a senior underwriter. I pulled up the rejected applications from May 2025. There it was. Applicant, Ethan Caldwell. Photo. The same face I'd just seen at dinner. Resume claimed MBA from Boston University, work history at 3 insurance firms. But the notes from HR were damning. Contacted Boston University registrar. No record of Ethan Caldwell enrolled or graduated 2010 to 2015. Recommend rejection for falsification. I'd sign the rejection myself. May 15th. J. Morrison, senior underwriter. I searched Ethan Caldwell on Google. Multiple profiles, wrong ages, wrong faces. I tried variations. LinkedIn returned nothing matching. Facebook had several Ethan Caldwells, none of them him. Then I searched Ethan Brenner. A profile appeared. Inactive since 2022. The photo matched. Worked as insurance adjuster in Columbus. Posts from 2021. New chapter soon. Comments from friends. Good luck, man, you'll bounce back. Bounce back from what? I kept digging. Found a Reddit post from August 2023 in r/scams. A woman warning about Ethan B., who'd scammed her for $18,000. He convinced me to invest in his consulting firm. After 6 months, he disappeared. Bank account closed, number disconnected. I filed a police report, but he crossed state lines. Please be careful. The description matched. Mid-30s, charming, claimed financial expertise. I created a folder on my desktop. Ethan investigation. 14 files. At 10:18 p.m., my phone buzzed. Vanessa. He won't answer my calls. What did you say to him? I didn't respond. I kept searching. By midnight, I'd found enough to be certain. Ethan Caldwell was a fake name. He was running from something. And Vanessa had mentioned he was a financial advisor. Same line, same scam, new victim. The next morning, I called a private investigator, Diane Kowalski, recommended by a colleague. Ex-cop, sharp eyes, no-nonsense voice. We met at a coffee shop near my office. I explained, fake identity, possible con, targeting my sister. If he's running game on your sister, he's after something big, Diane said. Does your family have money? I paused. I don't know anymore. Find out. That's his motive. She slid her business card across the table. I can dig deeper. 800 retainer covers preliminary, 8 to 10 hours. Background check, social media, court records. If we need surveillance, that's additional. I wrote the check. My hands were steady. Diane looked at me carefully. One more thing. If he recognized you and panicked, what do you have that scares him? I rejected him. I know he's a liar. That's not enough to run. What else? I drove home with her question looping in my head. What did I have? Then it hit me. Power. At work, I was senior underwriter. I could flag him, blacklist him industry-wide, ruin his fake credentials permanently. He wasn't afraid of me. He was afraid of what I could do to his con, which meant Vanessa was the target. But for what? That afternoon, Vanessa texted. Ethan says he's sorry he left. He has food poisoning. We're still on for Christmas. Don't ruin this for me, Julia. I didn't reply. I called Diane. Dig faster. Growing up, I'd been taught that love meant sacrifice, that being the strong one meant accepting less, that Vanessa, because she'd been adopted, deserved more care, more attention, more grace. My mother had brought her home in March 2002. I was 6. Vanessa was 3, a tiny girl who'd been through the foster system, who needed stability and safety. I understood that. I wanted to help. But somewhere along the way, helping became erasing. When Vanessa struggled in school, my achievements were minimized so she wouldn't feel bad. When Vanessa wanted my room because it was bigger, I was told to be generous. When Vanessa needed emotional support, I was told to be independent. By the time I was a teenager, the pattern was set. Vanessa was the golden child. I was the afterthought. The only person who saw through it was my grandmother, Eleanor Frances Morrison, my mother's mother. She lived in a Victorian house in Shaker Heights, all dark wood and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. She called me every week, took me to lunch once a month. When I was with her, I felt seen. Your mother is trying to heal her own wound by creating one in you, she told me once over coffee in 2020. Don't let her. You are my blood, Julia. You are my girl. I didn't understand what she meant then. I thought she was just playing favorites the opposite way. But she kept calling, kept inviting me over. When my mother complained about it, Eleanor said flatly, "I'm correcting your favoritism." The last time I saw her was November 10th, 2023. She was in the hospital, 2 days before she died. The cancer had spread fast. She could barely speak. I held her hand. She squeezed mine weakly. "Don't let them erase you, sweetheart," she whispered. I made sure they can't. I didn't know what she meant. I thought she was confused from the medication. She died 2 days later. At her funeral, my mother eulogized her as a woman who loved both her granddaughters equally. It was a lie. Eleanor had loved me more, not because Vanessa wasn't worthy, but because she saw I was being erased. After the funeral, I asked about the will. My mother's answer was quick and final. There was nothing. She donated everything to charity. I'd accepted it. What choice did I have? For a year, I mourned quietly. Alone in my apartment, I'd pull out the box of Eleanor's belongings I'd saved. Letters she'd written me, photos of us together, her knitting needles. One photo from 2018. Eleanor and me at her kitchen table, her handwriting on the back. My legacy. I never questioned what my mother told me, until Ethan's text mentioned his past, until I started digging, until I realized, if he was hiding something, maybe my mother was too. December 5th. My mother invited me to pick up old photos for a memory book project. She said they were in her bedroom closet, top shelf. My father was at work. She was at the grocery store. I was alone in the house for the first time in months. I climbed the stairs to my parents' bedroom. The room smelled like lavender sachets, floral wallpaper, meticulously organized. The closet was locked with a small padlock. I hesitated. Then I remembered Eleanor's voice. I made sure they can't. I searched for the key, found it in my mother's jewelry box, third drawer under a strand of pearls. Unlocked the closet. Photo boxes on the top shelf. Yes, but below them, a locked desk drawer. I knew I shouldn't. But something in me, something that had eaten cold turkey in a garage 4 times while my family laughed inside, made me search for that key too. I found it taped under the desk edge. My mother's hiding spot since I was a kid. The drawer opened with a soft click. Inside, file folders, bank statements, and one manila envelope labeled Eleanor Morrison Estate, Private. My hands shook as I opened it. Last will and testament of Eleanor Frances Morrison. I skimmed the legal language, heart pounding. Then I saw it. To my biological granddaughter, Julia Ann Morrison, I leave the entirety of my estate trust, valued at $520,000, $520,000, held in municipal bonds and savings account. I read it again. Biological granddaughter, Julia Ann Morrison, sole inheritor. The will was dated October 18th, 2023, 1 month before Eleanor died. Notarized, witnessed by 2 attorneys. Legal, binding, hidden. I flipped to page 3. Vanessa Marie Morrison, adopted March 2002, is hereby acknowledged as beloved family but not blood relation. No inheritance designated. The words blurred. Vanessa was adopted. I knew that, didn't I? But seeing it written like this, in legal language, acknowledging what my family had never said out loud, I kept reading. Found a handwritten note from my mother, dated December 2023. V doesn't need to know. J doesn't deserve this. Using clause for family emergency, will distribute as needed. I stared at the words. Doesn't deserve this. My mother hadn't forgotten about the will. She hadn't donated it to charity. She'd hidden it. Deliberately. For a year. Attached to the will was another document. A small estate affidavit filed with Cuyahoga County Probate Court, dated December 18, 2023. I read it with growing horror. I, Patricia Morrison, swear under penalty of perjury that the decedent died intestate with no will, total assets $45,000. My mother had sworn, under oath, that Eleanor died without a will. She'd claimed the estate was only $45,000. She'd lied to a court. This wasn't just withholding an inheritance. This was fraud. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and photographed every page. 7 pages total. Will, affidavit. Bank statement showing trust balance. $523,180. Untouched. I heard a car in the driveway. I shoved everything back, locked the drawer, replaced the key, locked the closet, grabbed a random photo box. By the time my mother opened the bedroom door, I was standing by the closet, holding childhood photos. Julia, what are you doing in here? Found them, I said, holding up a photo. Her eyes narrowed, scanning the room. Did you touch anything else? No, just photos. She stepped closer. My room is private, Julia. You shouldn't be snooping. My phone burned in my pocket, warm from photographing evidence of her crime. I'll walk you out, she said. At the door, she added, Christmas is in 3 weeks. Vanessa wants you there. Try not to ruin it this time. I nodded. Left. Sat in my car. Opened the photos on my phone. Whispered, You stole my inheritance. You lied about who I am. And you committed fraud. December 10th, Diane called. Report's done. You need to see this in person. We met at the same coffee shop. She slid a folder across the table. 14 pages. Photos, printouts, timeline. Your sister's boyfriend is Ethan Michael Brenner. Age 33. Real background. Community college dropout. Worked briefly as insurance adjuster in Columbus. Fired in 2022 for falsifying claims. She showed me a mugshot. Misdemeanor fraud charge, 2021, dismissed. Bank records obtained through her sources. Text messages from victims. He's done this before, twice. Both times he targeted women with family money. She laid out the pattern. Victim 1, Michelle Torres, Cincinnati, 2023. Her parents owned a car dealership. Ethan invested her $18,000, then disappeared. Victim 2, Lauren Hayes, Indianapolis, 2024. Trust fund kid. He borrowed $12,000 for a business startup, then ghosted. Both women filed police reports. Both cases went nowhere. He crossed state lines, changed identity, untraceable. One said he was charming, mentioned marriage, made her feel special. Diane showed me photos of Michelle and Lauren, both brunette, late 20s, educated. He has a type. Your sister fits. How did he find Vanessa? I asked. Diane flipped a page. That's where it gets interesting. She showed me employment records. Ethan worked as a file clerk at Silverman and Associates law firm, August through November 2023. They handle estates. My stomach dropped. They handled your grandmother's estate. He had access to all files, including the will. He saw your name, your family address, asset details. She pulled out a termination notice. He was fired November 30th, 2023, for violating client confidentiality protocols. He knew about the inheritance before my grandmother was even buried. Worse, Diane said. He thought it was family money Vanessa could access. He doesn't know it's in your name only. She showed me the timeline. Ethan fired from law firm November 2023. Filed legal name change petition December 2023. Name change finalized March 2024. Moved to Cleveland suburbs April 2024. Applied to my insurance firm May 2025. Rejected. Coincidentally, met Vanessa at Starbucks near her campus August 2025. He's been planning this for over a year. Vanessa isn't a girlfriend. She's a mark. I pulled up Vanessa's Instagram on my phone. Recent post from December 8th. Best 4 months ever. Comments asking if it was a hint. Vanessa's reply, maybe soon. He's going to propose, I said. Probably Christmas, Diane said. When families are sentimental, harder to say no. She circled a date on her notes. December 25th. Likely engagement. I need to stop this, I said. But if I tell Vanessa she won't believe me, she'll think I'm jealous. Then you need proof she can't deny, Diane said. And you need to move fast. I paid Diane an additional $400 for the final report. $1,200 total for 12 hours of work. Worth every penny. But I had another problem now. I had proof Ethan was a con artist, but I also had proof my mother was a criminal, and I had to decide what to do with both. December 15th, Sunday. I texted my mother. We need to talk, alone, about Grandma's will. She called immediately, voice sharp. What will? There is no will. I have photos. Meet me for brunch. Just us. You went through my things. You had no right. Sunday, 10 a.m., Bluebird Cafe. Or I send these photos to a lawyer tomorrow. Long pause. Fine. But this conversation doesn't leave that table. We'll see. Sunday morning, she arrived on time, sat across from me, lips pressed thin. I slid a printed photo of the will across the table. Her face hardened. Where did you get this? Your locked drawer. The one you thought I'd never find. You broke into my room. You broke a legal will. The coffee between us sat untouched. My mother's hands were flat on the table, her diamond ring catching the light. Eleanor's ring, the one she'd promised me when I was 16. My mother had taken it from Eleanor's house the day after she died. $520,000, I said. Grandma left it to me. You hid it for a year. Why? She started with excuses. I was protecting you from responsibility. The timing wasn't right. Vanessa would have been hurt. I was waiting for you to mature. I countered each one calmly. You don't understand what it's like to balance 2 daughters' feelings, she said. 1 daughter. You erased me to elevate her. That's not fair. Neither is stealing my inheritance. Her coffee spilled slightly when she gestured. Brown liquid spread on the white tablecloth. Neither of us moved to clean it. I leaned forward. I know Vanessa is adopted. The will says so. Did you plan to ever tell me I'm the only biological grandchild? Her face crumbled briefly, then hardened again. Your grandmother never understood. Vanessa needed us more. We had to make her feel equal. By making me less? You were always strong. You didn't need... I needed a mother. Her voice rose. Everything we did was to protect Vanessa. She was abandoned once. We couldn't let her feel that again. So you abandoned me instead. The woman at the next table glanced over. My mother lowered her voice, embarrassed. Always about appearances. I pulled out another document, the small estate affidavit. You didn't just hide the will. You filed a false affidavit with the court. You swore under oath that Grandma died without a will. That's not family drama, Mom. That's probate fraud. That's a felony. All color left her face. I'm filing a legal claim for the trust, I said. You have no grounds to withhold it. Her eyes went cold. If you do that, you'll destroy this family. I stood. dropped $20 for coffee. You destroyed it when you chose Vanessa over me every day for 23 years. I'm taking what's mine. I slid Diane's report across the table. And one more thing. Ethan is a con artist. He's after family money. He doesn't know the money is mine, not yours. When I expose him, Vanessa will break. And you'll blame me. But I'm doing it anyway, because it's right. My mother grabbed my wrist. If you ruin Vanessa's happiness with these lies, I pulled away. They're not lies. They're facts. Something this family has avoided for decades. I walked out. She sat alone, staring at the investigator's report, hands trembling. For the first time in my memory, my mother looked small. Christmas Day, 2025. My parents' house, decorated with garland and lights. 11 people gathered. My parents, Vanessa, Ethan, extended family, family friends. Vanessa glowed. She wore a red dress, her hair perfect, happiness radiating from her. Ethan was attentive, charming, playing the role perfectly. I arrived last, carrying a large envelope. My mother saw it. Her face drained. Dinner was at 2 p.m. This time, I was at the table. My mother couldn't exile me with witnesses present. I sat between Aunt Carol and Uncle Doug. Ethan sat next to Vanessa, his charm turned to maximum. He talked about investment properties, the housing market, financial strategies. My father nodded, impressed. Vanessa gazed at him adoringly. I ate slowly, mechanically. The envelope sat on my lap under the table. The clock on the wall read 3:40 p.m. Vanessa stood, tapping her glass. Everyone, Ethan and I have an announcement. I stood too. Actually, I'd like to say something first. The room went quiet. Vanessa's face twisted in annoyance. Julia, can you wait? No, this concerns everyone. I opened the envelope, pulled out the investigator's report. Ethan Caldwell isn't who he says he is. His real name is Ethan Brenner. He's a con artist. Ethan laughed nervously. What? This is insane. Vanessa, I don't know what she's talking about. You worked at Silverman and Associates law firm, I said, my voice calm and clear. You stole information from my grandmother's estate. You changed your name. You targeted my sister for money. I slid printed pages across the table. Mugshot, victim statements, employment termination record, timeline. Aunt Carol gasped. My father picked up the papers. Vanessa's voice shook. This is a lie. You're making this up because you're jealous. I have bank records, victim testimonies, legal documents. I looked at Ethan. And your boyfriend knows I'm telling the truth. Look at his face. Ethan's charm was cracking. He tried different lies. Those documents are fake. You're confusing me with someone else. This is a misunderstanding. My father interrupted. Explain the mugshot. Ethan couldn't. He turned to Vanessa, desperate. Baby, you have to believe me. She's trying to sabotage us because she rejected me for a job and... He stopped. Realized his mistake. There it is, I said. You admit you applied to my firm. Under what name, Ethan? Vanessa's hands were shaking. My mother sat frozen. Uncle Doug stood, angry. I pulled out the final page. You knew about my grandmother's inheritance. You thought you could marry Vanessa and access it. But you didn't read the will carefully enough. I slid the will across the table. The money isn't family money. It's mine. Only mine. Vanessa picked up the will, hands trembling. Started reading. Vanessa, there's something else you need to know, I said, my voice gentler now. You're adopted. I'm the biological granddaughter. Grandma left $520,000 to me. Mom hid it from both of us. Vanessa read the highlighted clause. Adopted? Mom? My mother started crying. We were going to tell you. When? Vanessa's voice broke. I'm 26. Ethan tried to stand to leave. My father blocked him. "You're not going anywhere." Uncle Doug pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police." Ethan pleaded. "I love her. I wasn't going to." "Shut up," Uncle Doug said. Vanessa stood, ran to the bathroom, locked the door. We could hear her crying through the walls. My mother was hysterical. My father sat in silence. Guests whispered, uncomfortable. Aunt Carol looked at me with something like pride. The police arrived 18 minutes later. They questioned Ethan. No arrest. It was a civil matter. Fraud requires victims to press charges. But they documented everything. Ethan left. Vanessa wouldn't see him. She stayed locked in the bathroom. I helped clean up, half-eaten ham on the table, gifts unopened, Christmas ruined. But Vanessa was safe. At 6:30 p.m. she emerged. Eyes swollen. She looked at me. "Is it true? All of it?" I nodded. "I need to be alone." She left the house without her coat. Drove away. My mother turned on me bitter. "You destroyed Christmas. You destroyed Vanessa's happiness." "Ethan destroyed it," I said. "I just revealed it." I left. Drove home. Sat in my apartment. On my laptop, I drafted an email to an attorney. December 27th, I met Benjamin Cross, a state attorney, recommended by Diane. His office overlooked snowy Cleveland, law books floor to ceiling. I brought everything: will photos, Patricia's note, the false affidavit, bank statements. Ben reviewed the documents carefully. "Your mother had no legal right to withhold this. The will is explicit. We'll file a petition to execute the trust." He looked at me. "How long?" 4 to 6 weeks if uncontested. Longer if she fights." "How much?" $350 an hour. $1,400 retainer to start." I wrote the check from my savings. Ben asked one final question. "Are you prepared for your family to hate you for this?" "They already do," I said. "At least now I'll have what's mine." January 3rd, 2026, we filed the petition in Cuyahoga County Probate Court. Case number 2-026-EST-00421. In re. Estate of Eleanor Morrison, petition by Julia Morrison for release of trust assets. My mother was served papers January 5th. She called, screaming, "You're suing your own mother, over money. This is disgusting. You stole my inheritance. This is justice. A daughter doesn't do this to family. A mother doesn't lie to her child for a year." She hired a lawyer. They filed a motion claiming undue influence by Eleanor on me. Ben laughed when he read it. "This won't work." January 12th, her lawyer sent a settlement offer. Julia gets $100,000. Patricia keeps the rest for family expenses and Vanessa's future. I refused immediately. "Tell them I want every dollar Eleanor intended for me, not a penny less." The court date was set. February 24th. 7 weeks after filing, I sat in probate court. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights. My mother on one side with her lawyer, dabbing her eyes with tissue. My father's hand on her shoulder. Me on the other side, with Ben, sitting straight-backed, alone. The judge reviewed the documents: Eleanor's will, the false affidavit, Patricia's handwritten note, bank statements. He looked at my mother. "Ms. Patricia Morrison, this court has reviewed your small estate affidavit filed December 2023. You swore under penalty of perjury that your mother died intestate with no will. Yet this will," he held it up, "is dated October 2023, notarized, legally executed, and was found in your possession. Can you explain this?" Her lawyer stood. "Your Honor, the will was misplaced. An honest mistake?" The judge cut him off. "Your client signed under penalty of perjury. This will was in her locked desk drawer. The petitioner discovered it there. This is not misplacement. This appears to be probate fraud." My mother sobbed. The judge continued. Executors have a fiduciary duty to beneficiaries. Your client violated that duty and potentially violated Ohio Revised Code 2921.13. I am referring this matter to the prosecutor for review. He looked at the will again. For purposes of this petition, I find the will valid, clear, and legally binding. The trust assets shall be released to Julia Ann Morrison in full. Petition granted. The gavel hit the bench 3 times. Sharp. Final. My mother's face crumbled. As we left the courtroom, my father whispered to her, "Did you really think you'd get away with this?" She didn't answer. I walked past them. Didn't look back. February 3rd, my phone buzzed during a meeting at work. Bank notification. Wire transfer received. $520,000. Account balance. $523,847.38. I was sitting in my small apartment. Same IKEA furniture. Same stained carpet. Same view of the parking lot. I stared at the number. $500,000. I didn't celebrate. I didn't cry. I just sat. "Grandma," I whispered. "I got it. Thank you for seeing me." I opened my laptop. Searched. Condos for sale, Cleveland suburbs. March 2nd, I closed on a 2-bedroom condo in a different suburb. 40 miles from my parents. Modern, bright. Mine. $215,000. My name on the deed. Move-in day, I carried boxes alone. No family helped. The doorbell rang. I tensed. It was Diane, holding a coffee maker. "Housewarming gift. Proud of you, kid." March 10th, my boss called me into his office. "Julia, we're promoting you to Director of Underwriting, 94,000 salary. You've earned it through exceptional judgment and integrity." I thanked him. Didn't mention the war I'd just survived. That afternoon, I met Vanessa for coffee. February 14th, actually. Valentine's Day. Our first contact in 6 weeks. She looked tired, thinner. "I'm sorry," she said, "for not believing you about Ethan. For years of everything. I didn't know Mom was treating you like that. I thought we were equal." "We never were," I said. "And that's not your fault. But it's not fixable either." She cried. "Can we start over? We can be civil. That's all I can offer." "Are you coming to Easter?" "I'll think about it." I didn't go. March 8th, I sent an email to my parents. "I am willing to maintain a civil relationship on my terms. Mutual respect, no manipulation, no expectations. I will not be the daughter who sacrifices herself. I will not discuss money, past, or Vanessa. I will leave if disrespected. Take it or leave it." My mother replied 6 hours later, "This is hurtful, but I understand." My father replied, "We'll try." Vanessa didn't reply. I saved the email in a folder labeled Boundaries Set, closed my laptop, exhaled. March 22nd, 2026. Saturday. I hosted my first dinner at my new condo. 5 people total. 3 colleagues from work. 1 friend from book club. A woman from my gym I'd started talking to. No family. I cooked Eleanor's recipes. Pot roast, green beans, homemade rolls, pumpkin pie. My friend asked, "Is your family coming?" I smiled. This is my family, the one I chose. The dining table was round oak, seat 6. I'd bought it specifically for this. 5 chairs were filled, 1 empty, for future chosen family, candles lit, wine poured. I sat at the head of the table. For the first time in my life, I wasn't in the garage. I wasn't at the kids' table. I wasn't exiled. I wasn't erased. I was centered. I raised my glass. To new beginnings. They toasted. I smiled. Real. Free. Not because my family finally loved me, but because I'd stopped needing them to. I'd taken back my name, my inheritance, my seat at the table, my right to define myself. That Thanksgiving night in the garage, cold, humiliated, alone, I'd made a choice. Not revenge, not even justice at first. Just refusal. Refusal to accept their story about who I was. And in refusing their lie, I found my truth. Eleanor had been right. She'd made sure they couldn't erase me, not legally, not financially, not permanently. The will was her final act of love, her way of saying, "You matter. You are my blood. You are my girl." And I'd honored that love by fighting for it. My mother lost the money. She lost her clean image. She may face criminal charges for the fraud. Vanessa lost a con artist boyfriend and gained the truth about her identity. Painful, but necessary. I lost a toxic family system, and I gained myself. The candles flickered on my table. My friends laughed. Someone refilled wine glasses. Outside, March snow fell softly on Cleveland. Inside, in my own home, at my own table, surrounded by people who respected me, I was warm. I was home. And no one could take that from me ever again.